Well, in an effort to help people out and help myself out, I decided to do a video on installation of a solar system on our 2015 Itasca Sunstar. It's a 36Y. We're preparing to go on the road for a period, and we wanted to have that power for boondocking. And so anyway, again, I was looking all over the internet and I couldn't find anything that, specifically showed you step by step on a Class A and the difficulties that you may run into. So I decided to make a video, and in an effort to help those that are in the situation that I'm in. I am a mechanic, a full-time mechanic. I have my own business. I've always done everything on my own, from electrical to plumbing to carpentry work. So I have maybe a few more skill set than most. But if a person's willing to learn and take the time, they could probably do this on their own with a limited skill set, just because there are so many videos available on the internet. So I'm going to show you, I decided to go with AM Solar just because they had what appeared to me to be a complete package. They do the solar prep, panel prep for you and get them ready. They had the tilt bars, and it looks like, as far as I can tell from when I opened the packages and looked in, it looks like it is a complete package. I shouldn't have to go to the store for anything other than when I go to do my shunt cable. And I've already got the cable, I just have to get me a couple connectors for that. So we have some directions. These are the tilt bars. I've already opened it and took a look, and I was really impressed by how thick the tilt bars were. I guess I was expecting them to be kind of chintzy, but they are not. They are very, very nice quality. There's the disconnect between the solar panels and the charge controller. We've got various connectors for the box that goes on top. This is your combiner box. This is where the charge cables will come into from the solar panels, and then you also connect into the cables that go down below to the charge controller, which I went with the 4 gauge cables. This is the control panel that will go inside the coach. This is the shunt connector and the cable that will go to the control panel. Some Dicor for on the roof. It's a battery breaker. This will go between the charge controller and the battery. And that is a disconnect as well, so you can shut it off. It does have a switch on it. This is the control that will go from the charge controller to the control panel inside, so you can make adjustments and check everything out. They did put a business card in here as well, and they also gave me a little bit of candy. I spoke with Dave when I called out there, and he was a lot of help. So this is the 4 gauge cable that they give you to go from the combiner box to the charge controller. More wire ties. This is the battery temperature sensor. These are the tilt brackets and all the hardware necessary to mount them to the solar panels. I went with 4 solar panels, 4 100-watt solar panels to start, and then I did upgrade to their 3024i charge controller, just because I wanted to be able to upgrade later on and add, 2 more or 3 or 4 more panels. And then this is the 60 foot of cable, the 10 gauge cable that they send for the solar panels to the combiner box. Depending on how many panels you buy, they give you 15 feet with each panel, and then what they do is if you buy 2 panels, they give you 30 feet because one panel may be closer than the next. So that way you can cut your wire to length. And some more hardware in this package here. Some screws and clamps for the charge controller to run your cable into there. Moving over here, this is one of the 2 packages I received for my solar panels. I've already cut them open, but they are packaged very nice as well. They come with 2 panels per package. They already do some panel prep for you, as far as the holes are already drilled to accommodate the brackets. And then also they've already got the cables cut to length. They've cut the MC4 connectors off. They've got the heat shrink tube in place. And then so all you have to do when you're ready is connect your wire, cut it to length, heat shrink these, pull this up over it, heat shrink that, and then zip tie it down. Each panel does come face to face. They come with a piece of cardboard in between them, which can also be used if you're installing your panels on a sunny day. You can tape that piece of cardboard to the front surface of the panel to keep it from producing any solar charge. Okay, so one of the first things you really have to do is determine if you've got the real estate for solar panels. Well, if you have a Class A, you do. So, just be careful getting up here. I am going to be running mine down into or near this pipe right here. Now the combiner box is going to get mounted somewhere right here next to it, and I'll have to make sure that I am in the wall, and then can retrieve my cables within that area. I believe I'm going to put all my panels along this one edge so that I can tilt them up and catch the southern sun when I need it. So I'll take you down inside and show you where that's coming in down below. Okay, here in the coach, my control panels are along this wall, which this is the same place that the sewer pipe, the vent tube, runs down in through. I believe I'm going to mount my charge controller display right above here. I haven't decided yet for sure if I'm going to run my cable in this way from the roof, which then I'll go through the side over here and then drop into that cavity, which goes over here. And which is up in there. As you can see, there's the vent tube along with all the wires that go to the other displays and controls, and then comes down into this cavity here. So, and then you can see the vent tube perhaps back in the corner there. Not the best view. So anyway, this is my access point, I believe, to get down into the my bay where my 200 watt pure sine wave inverter is installed. That was a factory installation because our coach came with a residential refrigerator, as you can see from there. This is where my inverter is actually located. There is a disconnect between the batteries and the inverter already. So this is the bay that I'm going to mount the charge controller in. My battery compartment is right next door, so I will have a short distance to run from the controller to the battery compartment. Okay, so I'm going to open up my charge controller. I'm going to try and get that mounted up first, get that into position, and then I will work on getting my junction box on the roof, my roof combiner box put in. And this is what you can expect when you open this up. A lot of circuitry. You can see the one hole in the very back there, and then there's another one here to mount it. So I've got to go find a location where I'm going to put that exactly, and we'll be back. In order to mount this where I want it, I've got to remove this panel, so I'm going to do that now, and then I'll have to relocate it to keep it safe. Put that back in and I'll relocate it a little different so that when I have other items in this bay, I don't have to worry about them hitting my inverter, or in this case my charge controller. I think I might even use that hole right there that they already had in place. I'll have to put some sealer in it and seal those up. But I think that's a good location, and then I'll make me another hole here in the back. So we'll get that installed. Okay, the charge controller does come with these cable clamps that we'll need to install. We've got two large cable clamps. I'm going to run those into the bottom, and then that will be for my solar panel cable in and the charge controller to the battery out. And then I'll put the small one in the top for the other cables. You'll have the shunt cable, which monitors the actual battery condition, and then the other one will be to the controller mounted inside, so I can monitor exactly what's going on, and then also make some minor adjustments. So let me get those put in. As you can see, these are already started on there, but you can just either grab a hold and shove it through, or you can take a screwdriver and push it through. The bottom ones, I will need to remove the larger section, but for the top one, then I can just use a small one. You just take your time, work it back and forth. You'll fatigue the metal enough, and then that'll come out for you. like so. I like to just turn them a little bit just so they're just snug, and then you can take a screwdriver and finish bringing them around and tighten them right up, and you don't have to pound on the inside with a screwdriver or whatever. Okay, I had to go get a square drive. The screws that they provide are square drive. They have two different styles that come with to mount this. One is a stainless steel self-tapping, and then the other is just a standard wood screw, depending upon the surface that you're attaching to. Mine happens to be a metal box, so I'm going to use a stainless steel self-tapping. Just using that to make a mark, and then I'll move this out of the way. I don't want any metal shavings inside the box. And there we go. So I do have a couple spots that I'm going to just use a little black silicone RTV on to seal up, just to keep water from getting into this box. And then I'll put a little bit around the back of the screw as well. Okay, I'm getting ready to mount the control panel, the monitor. It's the IPN Pro Remote. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it up top here, but what I've done is in the instruction manual it gives you the measurement of this back portion where the circuit board is. So I took a manila folder, folded it in half, or right where the crease is at anyway, laid the measurement out on here, cut it out, so now I have a template. And it just so happens that I have the right distance from the edge of the manila folder from my ceiling down, so that I can line it up and mark it out on here. I was centered it on the middle switch, so I've got that marked out, and I'm preparing to cut it out. I've got a RotoZip, but depending upon what type of board your wall is made of, you could cut it out with a utility knife and just keep going over it, making multiple cuts. Well, that's going pretty good here for me, so I think I might just continue with the utility knife and skip firing up the RotoZip, which is going to create a lot of dust. You just take your time and do multiple passes. You'll feel the blade protrude through the back side. This way you can be sure too that you're not getting any wires. Just make sure that you put a new blade on and that you're using a new razor, and be careful to keep your fingers out of the way. And don't worry if you overshoot just a little bit, because the panel itself, the front face, is large enough to accommodate or hide any of that where you might have went too far with the razor. So there it is. This also does a couple other things for me. It allows me to have access and see exactly what and where my wires are going to be coming in at, and it's going to give me an easy way to fish my wires in as well. So now, as you can see, all I have to do now is make sure it's level, drill the 4 holes, and put my screws in. So I'll get to that right now. I'm gonna mark and just see to make sure I didn't move too much, and make sure that I am still center. It looks like I could come down just a little bit. I don't want my screws too close to the edge that it blows out and doesn't attach well. So that's another reason you might want to just take a marker, a fine point marker, and then you can double check like I'm doing, and that looks better. So now we'll take our drill and we'll punch a small hole. Might want to turn that the correct way. Although this isn't going to be the final mount, I'm just preparing for where my wires are going to go. And when I'm ready, then it's just a matter of running the wires, making the connections. And I used the one just to give me a way to line it and make sure it's level. My wife was a little concerned about me cutting into our new coach. As, you know, I don't blame her. She claims that I do better work for other people than I do for ourselves. So, sometimes she's probably correct on that. So I'm trying to change that and do better. Okay, so as you can see now, that is installed. Albeit I will have to take it out, but now it's right in line with the rest of my controls. So my wall is filling up. Now I've got to get my wires run. Something I'll show you I did find that I'm going to do is not only the bathroom where those wires come down inside that I've already showed you, but I removed the lower panel from the kitchen area, which right over in that back corner is the same place that goes over to the bathroom. And then that is the line that I'm going to drop my wires down through, I believe right there next to that drain line.